Wow. Yuki's talent never ceases to amaze us. Good morning and welcome to worship with the community of Westside Unitarian Universalist Church, where compassion leads us to justice and equality. My name is Caroline Nixon, and I am your worship leader this morning. I'm glad you're joining us for our virtual service, and it's my hope that this gathering will renew your sense of community and connection and nourish your heart, mind, and spirit. Our interim minister, Reverend Frida Gillespie, will return to the pulpit next Sunday, but today's reflection will be offered by our fellow member, Tanner Trask. Tanner has been a member of Westside since 2009, and he will be leading our New Year's water ritual, just in a remote sort of way this year. Thank you to our AV team volunteers today, Amy Stubbs, Donald Pennard, Spencer Maxwell, and Lane Craig. At Westside, we are raising the next generation of Unitarian Universalists, and we want them to know that they are an important part of our community. Several years ago, we chose to adopt multi-generational worship, where our services are radically inclusive and include children of all ages. Westside is a community of many beliefs, genders, and sexualities. A community of diverse cultural, racial, class backgrounds, a community of varied abilities and gifts. Some here find inspiration in the great books, others in the great outdoors, and others still in great conversations. Whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this community. On behalf of this church community, I also say to all, welcome. Today's order of service is a PDF. A link was provided via email, and it will also be posted in the chat for you to download. Most importantly is simply the opportunity to be present and connect together as our Westside community. So don't worry if you don't have the order of service. As always, please continue to watch your email box, the church website, and our Facebook page for updates on church programs and opportunities. And you can also stick around after our service ends today if you would like to join us for a virtual coffee hour. I invite you to take a deep breath. From wherever you are, settle into this sacred space that we create together each week. Now let us worship together as we listen to this morning's prelude. Good morning again. Our opening words are from the Reverend Gretchen Haley, entitled, "There's a Time to Let Go." There is a time to let go of the resistance, the steadfast march to complete your to-do list. For parents and activists, and for all who love this life, these people, these mountains, this sky. There is a time to rest and a time to trust. The world will go on, filled with partners at the ready. All of us splitting shifts on this project of building and healing, tending and turning. Breath and being require their own patience, their own attention. And the heart needs time for becoming stronger. After the shattering, the opening wider, the learning to love more and again. Come into this place, study stillness and joy. Know your belovedness like a memory calling out. From the center of your being, connecting every little piece of everything to everyone and all of us. Feel here gratitude rising and praise for this chance to begin again this day with hope. Come, let us worship together. Our opening hymn is number 347, Gather the Spirit by Jim Scott, led by Jim Scott with the special pandemic lyrics.
I wrote this song 30 years ago so my friend Pat Lamana could give it this contemporary message. Gather in spirit, not face to face. Let's do what we can to flatten the curve. Wash your hands often and don't touch your face. This virus is something no one deserves. Gather on Skype, gather on Zoom, gather by phone with family and friends. Gather online, but don't leave your room. Let's all stay safe until this crisis ends. Gather on Facebook, but not for too long. There's so many ways to sweeten the time. Take up crochet, write a new song, read a good book, bake brownies sublime. Gather on Skype, gather on Zoom, gather by phone with family and friends. Gather online, but don't leave your room. Let's all stay safe until this crisis ends. Gather in spirit, pray for the scared, the sick and the poor, the lonely at home. Count all your blessings and reach out and share. Let everyone know that they're not alone. Gather in Skype, gather on Zoom, gather by phone with family and friends. Gather online,
flaming chalice is our Unitarian Universalist symbol of both the heritage of our past and the light of hope within this congregation today. As many chalices are lit across the country this morning, please light yours as I share these words by the Reverend Scott Taylor. When our days turn cold and the light dims, may we take hold of the hands reaching out and let them lead us to the comforting flame. When repression and indignity rise, may we kindle the lamp of justice together. When exhaustion seeps into our bones, may we let the soft light lead us to rest. And when joy sneaks in and surprises us with grace, may we stop for just one sacred moment and celebrate. This morning's Chalice Lighting song is number 362, Rise Up, Old Flame, performed by Michael Casey.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Please join me in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Our time for all ages today will be presented by our speaker, Tanner.
Hey Westside, just wanted to do a quick vocabulary lesson. I've been off school for a week and I haven't been able to teach anything for all week long, so I wanted to teach you guys, young and old alike, probably a new word. Some of you may know this one. The word is liminal, and it should be right up here, L-I-M-I-N-A-L, liminal. Now, liminal is an adjective, and adjectives are words that you use when you're trying to describe things, like red. Like a red car, like a green tree, like words that describe things, right? That's what adjectives are. And liminal, it's an adjective, and what liminal describes are things that are in between, borders, things that are states of transition. And a really good word that you'll see liminal used to help describe are doorways. Doorways are liminal spaces. Doorways help us pass from one place to another. Another thing that might be a liminal space would be a train station or a bus station or an airport. You're in between, your journey. You're not one place, you're not the other yet. You're in between. And when you're in between places like that, you can be in between places like that physically, like with a doorway, or even metaphorically, like when you're opening a present and you started taking the wrapping paper off and you think you know what's inside it, but you're not sure just yet. That's a liminal space to be mentally, metaphorically. I kind of look at the holidays as liminal spaces. You're in between one year, the new year hasn't started yet. For those of you that are still in school, or for those of you that used to be in school, however long ago it may have been, winter break, the year's halfway over, but there's this sort of time in between that almost doesn't count, And I see winter in general as that, because you have winter in 2020 and in 2021. We'll have winter in both of those, the same winter. And each other season, your spring, summer, and fall, there's one of those per year. They take place in once during the year. With winter, you have winter at the beginning of the year and then again at the end of the year. And it's just the one. So this winter of 2020 will continue into 2021. That is a liminal sort of time. That's a threshold. That's a border. That's a doorway. And that sort of thing, that time period and that literal sort of doorway, that is sacred to Janus, who was a Roman god. The Roman Empire, remember, like thousands of years ago, Julius Caesar, the 7 hills of Rome, the Colosseum, that Roman Empire, he was a very important god to a lot of people. He was worshipped by many, many people in the Roman Empire, and there's evidence that he was worshipped even before the city of Rome was founded. So it's a very old god as far as things are concerned. And Janus was a two-faced god, quite literally. He had one face that faced forward into the future, and one face that faced backward into the past. And that's where we get the name for the month of January. January is the month of Janus. So this time of transition was sacred to the believers of Janus, and he was a very important god. If you wanted to be a proper Roman citizen and worship your gods properly, Janus always got the first of the sacrifices. So what about Janus? Well, Janus was so important to the Romans, they built a giant archway, a triumph, that was where every Roman army marched through before they went to war. So the doors of the archway would open up when war was declared, and when war was finally over and peace was declared and the army came home, they closed the doors. So when you're studying ancient Rome, you can tell just how peaceful an emperor's reign was by how often those doors were closed, or how many times they threw them open to declare war. So doorways and thresholds and times in between are incredibly important to not just the Romans, but to us and many people across the land. And I'm just wondering, what kind of transitions did you go through this year? Or maybe are still going through, or will be going through soon? And what liminal spaces are you currently in as the year closes, or will you be passing through as we get to the end of the year? Which doors in your life are opening, and which might be closing? And what can you do about it?
So I told Tanner that I learned at least 3 things from his Time for All Ages video. And he said, oh, but I have one more fact that I forgot to share in the video.
Oh, yeah. Liminal is worth 9 points in Scrabble. So when you're playing Scrabble this year with the family, socially distanced, 9-point word.
9 points in Scrabble. That's awesome. Thanks, Tanner.
You're welcome.
Today's joys and concerns will be shared by the pastoral care team leader, Christina Sellers.
Good morning. As we share our joys with others, those joys are multiplied. When other hearts know our joy shines all the brighter. As we share our concerns, our community can offer its care. When other hearts know our sorrow, our burden becomes lighter. This is the time in our service when we offer witness and support for one another's journeys. Please post in the chat if you have a joy or concern you would like to share with everyone today, and those who will watch the recording later. Joys and concerns can be submitted anytime via email to pastoralcare@westsideu.org or through the web form located on the Care and Support page of the church's website. I haven't had any joys and concerns submitted in advance. So I'm going to pull up the chat here. I do want to say I found the Christmas Eve service very joyful, and I'm grateful for everyone who participated in that and put it together. It was wonderful. Okay. Oh yeah, Leanne Maxwell also, the Westside Christmas Eve service was such a joy. We love seeing so many friends during the service. Let's see, from Glenda Hood, gratitude for a distance Christmas celebration with my family. Just give it a little bit more time in case anyone else is tapping away on their computer. All right, we have a concern from Jonathan. Our 7-year-old dog died of cancer last week. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Myrtle has gratitude for being with family in Austin. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for sharing those with us. It is good to share with one another as sharing draws our community closer together. Please know that your pastoral care associates are available to support you with deep listening and when needed through our InReach Fund for short-term financial support. We are here for you. Oh, wait. We have one from Matt Sachs. You're welcome, Matt. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Christina. This morning's centering song is number 123, Spirit of Life. You are welcome to sing along, but if you prefer to simply listen, that is okay too, because the virtual choir of All Souls UU Church in Washington, D.C. always gives me the good kind of chill. On the wings of this music, I invite you to join me in a time of centering. Each week here at Westside, we open our hearts to those in our community who know both joys and challenges, and to all suffering beings. I will begin with a brief pastoral introduction before we move into a time for silent reflection. At that point, I will ring the bell to signal the start of the time for your own meditation, prayer, or reflection, and I will ring the bell again at the end. I invite you to close your eyes and settle in your chair as I begin. Spirit of life and love and hope, let our hearts be full of love and excitement as we share in the joys among this community. And let our spirits reach out in compassion to all who know sorrow as well. Offer a loving presence to those in pain, whether spoken or just too painful to share. Remind us of our connection to each other, and may that connection bring us great peace. May it be so, blessed be, and amen. Westside has a long tradition of reaching out to our wider community in generosity. Every Sunday before the pandemic, we gave generously during our offertory time, and we were able to provide significant financial support to some very worthy organizations. Since going virtual, we have not collected the same generous amount from our service participants, as our attendance online is smaller than in person. We understand that this may be a difficult time for you personally, so by no means will we ever ask you to give until it hurts. We only ask that we all give until it feels good. If you are able to share your treasure with us this morning, please consider giving to the Samaritan House Dinner Fund. Westside UU has been a valued Supper Club member at Samaritan House each third Thursday of the month for more than 10 years. Westside has a Samaritan House Dinner Fund, which, when we were in person volunteering, provided funds for the meat, while volunteers provided the sides and the dessert. The dinner fund was a monthly plate offering during our services. During the beginning of the pandemic, the fund was very helpful because we cannot volunteer in person or prepare food for the Samaritan House residents from our own kitchens. We have to purchase the food. Since April, the Supper Club volunteers and numerous Westside groups have generously donated the funds needed to secure hot meals for the residents. The completely catered company is providing wonderful suppers at a very reasonably priced $10 per meal, and that includes delivery. We are supplying 45 to 50 residents a meal each month, but could use your help too. because $450 a month starts to add up for the smaller number of donors that have been giving every month since March. Please give online, either through the church's giving page or by using the Give Plus app. If you decide to mail a check to the church office, please make sure to designate in the subject line to which fund you wish your donation to benefit. Sometimes we forget to share the little stories that may provoke some extra generosity. My mother shared a story with me about the Samaritan House that before the pandemic, they didn't have organizations like Westside to provide dinner every single night. And so often the Samaritan House would reach out to those who were members of the supper club to see if they could take on an extra night. With the pandemic, I can only imagine how many nights they still need people to provide food. Thank you in advance for your donation. We will now hear an offering of music from our pianist, Dr. Yuki Kumamoto. Enjoy. Thank you again for your generosity. The offering has been gratefully received. We will now turn our attention to Tanner Trask, who will share a reading, and then our New Year's water ritual.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. This is, I think, my first time being back in the building since March. So, yeah. So our reading this morning is entitled The Holy Pause by Christine Walters-Paintner. We are all suffering from time poverty in a culture that worships productivity and accomplishments. We become hostages to our calendars. In his book, Time Wars, Jeremy Rifkin says, "We have surrounded ourselves with time-saving technological gadgetry, only to be overwhelmed by plans that cannot be carried out, appointments that cannot be honored, schedules that cannot be fulfilled, and deadlines that cannot be met. What is the purpose of managing our days more efficiently if we don't understand the meaning of our days? When we feel trapped by no time, We have lost touch with the eternal. We feel victimized by our lengthy to-do lists and day planners. When we view time from a linear perspective, we feel as though we are hurtling toward our own untimely ends. Organic time, on the other hand, is cyclical and sees periods of destruction as making the way for new growth and possibility. Autumn and winter always lead to springtime. When religious traditions write about life after death being eternal, they don't mean that we will live as we do now, only with an endless number of days. Instead, we will be immersed in the now. The purpose of most spiritual practices is to simply arrive right here, right now. And for many of us, it will be the longest journey we ever take. And speaking of moving through the seasons, we start each calendar year in the depth of winter just after the solstice. The days have been their shortest, but they are slowly lengthening. Nights have been their longest and their coldest. So it's a frozen period, gradually emerging into warmth. We approach the dawn and can look toward the hope, no matter how distant, that we can leave behind last year's worries, fears, pain, bad habits, trespasses against neighbors. In 2020, we all experienced significant loss. Loss of loved ones and friends, of closeness, of hope and confidence. The new year holds possibilities for a new and just way of living together, as well as the literal hope of a vaccine making its way to our healthcare workers and the most vulnerable among us. We can renew and look ahead. The new dawn is breaking. Leaving the depth of winter and starting a new year is our renewal. For the following ceremony, I'll be using the adapted words of Reverend Erica Hewitt, releasing the year behind us, updated a little bit for 2020. The new year calls us forward, filled with mystery. As we turn toward that new year, we take a final glimpse of the past year and reckon with all with all that I hoped for us. In previous years, we handed out little slips of dissolving paper and sticky notes to everyone to take part in the ritual on your way into the sanctuary. Obviously, this year, we weren't able to do that. So you will have to provide your own pieces of paper and your own writing implements. Pens, pencils, crayons, hastily grabbed cylinder of lipstick, we won't judge. So you're gonna take your first piece of paper, or just do this mentally, and consider what you might leave behind today, melting it effortlessly so that it changes form and disappears. What part of our lives, what things, what ideas, people, ways of living have become obstacles to our becoming the people we want to be and the people we need to be? What's holding you back? What's getting in the way of you living as fully as you'd like to? What might you melt away, and what will you relinquish? Write a word or two on the paper. Nobody has to see it except you, the water, and the universe. Or you may hold those words privately, and we will let go of them together. Give a minute or so to think about this, write some things down. If you're still writing, that's okay. If you're still collecting words, that's okay. But now we will let go of these outdated pieces of ourselves. I will be placing several representative pieces of paper into the water, part of which is from our past water ingathering ceremonies. As the water takes the paper from my fingers, I will lift up a theme that may match the words you would like to commit to the water. I now set upon the water all of your words that deal with connections. Connections to people, to family, to friends, to jobs, and to places. I now set upon the water all of your words that deal with the virus, our concerns, our uncertainties, and our sorrows. I will now set upon the water all of your words that deal with atonement and forgiveness, neither of which can be forced and neither of which come free. And I now set upon the water one final word for all who have words that did not float away with the others. If the past year held joy and growth for you, may that sweetness continue to bless you. If the past year held pain and bitterness, may you be relieved of those burdens and renewed for the journey ahead. I'm reminded here of a passage from The Lord of the Rings, when Frodo the Hobbit is beyond exhaustion from the journey, and he pleads, I wish it need not have happened in my time. And the wise wizard Gandalf responds, so do I, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. What will you do with the time that is given to you in the next year? The sticky notes, or the second piece of paper, these are what we'll be handing out if this were a more typical year. The sticky notes are for you to write your aspirations or resolutions or hopes for the new year that begins soon. Take a minute to write a few words to represent those, to remind you next week or next month of the hopes that were sparked this morning. These are also just for you, and you can place them, find a place to stick them up somewhere as a reminder. I'll give you a minute or so to think of some words you'd like to take forward after today. So let us look to the new with hope, with curiosity about its many unknowns, and with faith in our strength to navigate it with grace. And we will close our ritual with words by Neil Gaiman, "Make mistakes." I hope that in the year to come, you will make mistakes, because if you are making mistakes, then you are making new things, trying new things, learning, living, pushing yourself, changing your world. You're doing things you've never done before, and more importantly, you're doing something. Thank you.
I invite you all to join me in singing our closing hymn, number 346. Come sing a song with me, led by the Community Church of Chapel.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that grows in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Our closing words are from the Reverend Lois Van Leer. Having let go, set our intentions, named our curiosity, committed our energies, and given ourselves over to the lives of balance, purpose, and meaning, let us begin again in love. As we extinguish our chalice and chalices across the country this morning, please join me in the congregational closing. Let us go in peace, believe in peace, and create peace in our lives and in the world. May it be so, blessed be. Amen. Goodbye 2020 and Happy New Year, y'all. That ends our service this morning. If you'd like to participate